My friends, while many people were watching the recycled news from the mainstream media, the Tehran regime lost more than 2 billion rials in the last few days, and this wasn't an accounting error. It was the cost of just 24 hours of a tourniquet that's crushing the financial jugular of the Ayatollahs. On May 21, 2026, the Iranian negotiators tried to put on a show for the whole world to see. They drew a red line and said that uranium enrichment is off the table for negotiation. Not now. Not ever did they think they were dictating the rules. But the United States National Security Command, CENTCOM, doesn't read propaganda scripts. They read targets. While Iran shouted about sovereignty, the sheriff in Washington responded with steel and silence. In the last few hours, confirmation kept coming. 90 commercial ships that were trying to feed the Iranian war machine were intercepted and redirected. The naval blockade that the system tries to ignore is costing the regime a whopping $500 million a day. $500 million a day, my friends? Isn't that a pressure campaign? It's a surgical chokehold. Iran believed it could use the nuclear threat as a shield to keep extorting through the trade routes, attacking neighboring countries and threatening the world with terrorism. The real consequence was that the United States turned the Strait of Hormuz into an absolute economic exclusion zone, where the regime loses $500 million with every sunset, forcing its ships to return to port like whipped dogs. The scorpion is surrounded by fire and the poison is starting to work from the inside out. But the naval blockade is not just the symptom. The real disease for the Iranian regime is stationed at RAF Fyford Base in England. 12 B-1B Lancer bombers known as the Bon have been positioned at the tip of the spear. We're talking about more than half of the entire operational fleet of the US Air Force ready for action. And don't be fooled by the age of this machine. The Lancer has been transformed into a hypersonic monster. Each of these bombers carries 33 tons of cargo, which are distributed across 3 internal compartments. It flies at a speed of 1,530 kilometers per hour and can carry out missions lasting 37 hours without touching the ground, crossing the ocean from its base in Wellsworth, in South Dakota, with aerial refueling. But the information that made the Revolutionary Guard Command panic was revealed by Lieutenant Colonel Evil Marcos. For the first time, the B-1B received external pylons, and most amazingly, the B-1B never had this capability before. The installation of these external pylons means that it can now carry hypersonic missiles and the LRAS long-range anti-ship missiles with a range of 1,111 kilometers, allowing the Pentagon to destroy any Iranian bunker or ship without the bomber even entering the range of enemy defenses. If the conflict resumes in the next 48 hours, what Iran will see is not a red line. It's a hypersonic warhead coming down at 5 times the speed of sound over the head of anyone who thinks they're protected by concrete. And while the B-1B handles the strategic horizon, the dirty work in the Strait of Hormuz is left to the most agile and lethal predator in close combat. The AH-1Z Viper, the Zulu, is the nightmare of Iran's fast boat captains. The regime's pride and joy is its Mosquito fleet, hundreds of small boats that try to overwhelm American defenses in the strait, which is only 39 kilometers wide. At its most critical point, the Viper responded to that bluff with authority. It carries AIM-9X Sidewinder missiles for air defense and the new AGM-179, the JAGM, to annihilate surface targets with pinpoint precision. Admiral Brad Cooper informed the Senate that Iran's defense industry is already 90% degraded. The number of these fast boats has dropped from 40 per transit to just 2 or 3. The B-1B has already crushed the factories, and the Viper is there to clean up what's left. The technological superiority of the Viper's targeting system, the TSS, allows it to identify and lock onto Iranian boats from kilometers away, turning Iran's saturation tactic into target practice, where the enemy is vaporized before they even know they're being watched. The Scorpion tried to use numbers to beat technology, but the sheriff brought the titanium insecticide. And then you ask me, whoa man, where is the supreme leader in this story? Well, my friends, Moshtaba Khamenei, who used to be a caricature, is now a ghost. He hasn't been seen in public for 3 months, since the beginning of the war. The only proof of life are posts on X, where he tries to inflame religious extremism, calling the conflict the third sacred defense. Intelligence analysts have deconstructed the language of these posts. It's a man ruling a country from inside a bunker while his people are arrested for sneezing in public. In the last 48 hours, 6,500 people have been thrown in jail without any apparent reason. The regime is in a state of internal panic. They know that the uranium red line isn't about sovereignty. It's about the survival of the Islamic Republic as a terrorist governing entity. If they give up the uranium, the hardliners in the Revolutionary Guard will devour what's left of the government. At this point, calling Moshtaba a bunker cockroach is almost a technical compliment. He's hiding under layers of concrete while his people bleed and his economy melts down. Does he think that posts on X are going to stop the B-1B's hypersonic missiles? It's an illusion of someone who traded reality for fanaticism and is now discovering that concrete doesn't protect against total isolation. But make no mistake, the tourniquet isn't tightening just on Iran. The global system is being cleansed. In Nigeria, on May 16, American and local forces eliminated al-Bulbul al-Manuki, ISIS's number 2 and the financial mastermind of the organization. It was a level 1 counterterrorism success that the mainstream media, busy with ideological narratives, decided to ignore. The sheriff is hunting down the pieces on the board one by one, my friends. In Ukraine, the numbers show an industrial-scale meat grinder. Russian losses since February 2022 have reached the absurd mark of 1,352,000 military personnel eliminated. In the last 24 hours alone, there have been 910 casualties. Russia has emptied its prisons and is now burning its future on a static front. Every soldier that Putin burns in Ukraine is one less to threaten NATO. Russia is on a forced diet of catastrophic attrition. And what about China, Shimon? Well, China is playing on 3 fronts. They provide covert support to Iran, take an aggressive posture toward Taiwan, and test the Nemesis anti-ship system with Type 88 missiles. They want to exhaust American stockpiles, but the Pentagon responded with the WC-135R Constant Phoenix, the radiation-sniffing jet that monitors every nuclear move in the theater of operations. China wants confusion, but the United States and Israel are delivering clarity through high-tech sensors. China's strategy of fostering proxy conflicts aims to create a window of opportunity for action in Taiwan. But the massive presence of B-1B bombers and hypersonic modernization show that Washington is ready to fight in 2 theaters simultaneously without losing precision. Can they do it, my friends? Comment below. The board is being cleared, and those who bet on chaos are starting to pay the price in dollars and in blood. The world changed on May 21, 2026. Iran has drawn a uranium line, and the United States responded with 90 ships, a 2 billion real blockade, and a fleet of bombers that don't respect bunkers. The Scorpion is surrounded, the cockroach is in the hole, and the sheriff has his finger on the hypersonic trigger. Now, I want to hear from you. The board is on fire and the pieces are being swept off the table. Do you think Moshtaba's regime will finally surrender to the physical reality of the bombs? Or will they try to take the world with them into the abyss? Leave your comment now with a single word: hawk or scorpion. I read every comment to adjust our next analyses. What we discuss here is real geopolitics, the kind that global censorship and algorithms try to hide from you. And if you want deeper access to this conversation, along with my field intelligence reports and analyses that decode the future, join our intelligence bunker now. We are a community of analysts. We are more than 3,000 supporters of the truth. Access it through the QR code on the screen, the pinned comment, or in the description. It takes work to decode, my friends. Subscribe to the channel, turn on the notification bell, and like the video. I'll also leave a card for our TV and movie channel. Exceptional tips for you to enjoy with your family without any culture wars or whining. I'm Shimon Oliveira, and I'll see you in the next video. See you then.